Alrighty, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the official kickoff and start of season 3 of Communications and Cigars. That's right, season 3. I know we didn't have a lot of episodes in season 2. We're going to go ahead and blame that on the writer's strike. That sounded the best on there. But anyways, welcome to season 3 of Communications and Cigars. And tonight, as kind of a thing with season 3 taking place, we're going to go ahead and we are going to say, first of all, welcome. But then also, too, is we are going to go ahead and do kind of a fun little thing on there. And what the fun thing, little thing is on here that we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to be giving away things tonight. So keyboard's already set up here. It's on number 3 on there. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to do a little fun here. We're going to talk a little bit, but what are we going to give away? Well, last time we gave away some shirts. And people like the shirts, but there were some people like, hey, John, I kind of like something else. So tonight what we're going to do is we are going to give away, that's right, the official keychain here of "You Don't Really Bend My Antenna." And then on the back of it, you have our favorite little buddy on there, Communications and Cigars. That's right. It's going to be your own little keychain, and nice keychain too. This is kind of like a little bit of a metal. Kind of can hear it on there, sort of on there, or maybe it's a little. I'm not sure. Maybe it looks metal, but maybe it's just. I don't know. But anyways, great gift idea. Provided to me for ideas for, of course. A company that has helped me out with a lot of stuff. They helped me out with the shirts. They've helped me out with this idea and stuff like that. Fourth and Birch. That's right. Fourth and Birch was nice enough to help us with this promotion here for tonight. So welcome to Communications Cigars. Communications Cigars, we come to you live or at least recorded, with the sense that at least one time it was recorded live on there. On Monday nights, our show, we're kind of into season 3. What is exactly our show about? Well, our show really is about kind of like an education, talking about the communications hobby, not focused on like amateur. A lot of stuff is amateur based out there. There is some other type of education out there, but we kind of like to cover the whole basis and kind of get everything out there. So we cover not only amateur, but we do cover FRS, GMRS, CB, marine, aviation. We got a lot of stuff on there, but people said, hey, John, you haven't really talked too much about stuff, but we will go ahead and be doing that. We do have some great episodes set up for season 3. We're going to be talking into duplexers. That was one of the things that we did go ahead and talk about on there that we wanted to do. But before we get going any further, let's talk about how you can get a hold of us. You want to get a hold of us? How do you want to go and get a hold of us? So go ahead, and if you want to, subscribe to us, or actually, more importantly, email us, communications-cigars@jjkcom.com. That's right, communications-cigars@jjkcom.com. That's right, JJK Communications is a supporter of Communications and Cigars. It is really without the help of JJK Communications that we would not be able to go ahead and be able to do all this stuff. It does take money to have equipment. It does take money to have this. It does take, these kind of things like this. And because the show is designed to be educational, we're not looking for viewers. We're not looking for trying to monetize it. We're not doing anything like that on there. It was more or less started out 3 years ago now, right? This is our 3rd season we're starting, so technically 2 years ago. So it started out in 2021. Started from the front porch of there, which we called Studio P on there. Since then, we moved into Studio B, which is the basement here. But the whole intent of the show was really for the sole purpose of going ahead and discussing communications. At the time, we had a hard time communicating because of COVID. And we started it around Labor Day weekend, and it just kind of grew. We did a lot of shows in season 1. We tried some things. We got input from people. We did do some shows last year, but things got really, really busy for my life, hectic. There's time where radio and shows and this need to take a break, and you also need to take a break from other things too. So that all kind of got. Now we're coming into season 3. We got a few months left here. There's going to be some other changes that I have going on. So with those other changes, it's going to be more time. I'm going to be able to have more concentration and focus on here. We are actually going to get the podcast up and running. I know we talked about that for a while, and we've got some episodes recorded. And then we were like, how to basically get them out there. But we're going to do some with that MCOM Chat podcast on there. Because I think a good part of communications that people like is there's the hobby part, and then there's like the usage part, and then there's the mission purpose part. And I'm not saying mission purpose like everything like, hey, it's Motorola, mission purpose, mission critical, that kind of thing like that on there. But one thing I do like is I do like the people that do hop in my show. I know there's not a lot of people that do, I don't usually have double digits of people watching the show, but some of the shows are good. And I like it when I see people in the chat, and that's how we're going to go ahead and do tonight's prize drawing on there. So I see Evan. Evan always turns in. Evan, thank you so much for tuning in. I do really appreciate it. Tonight I see UTV and Ham KD9WNV. Thank you very much for tuning in. But here's what we're going to do. Alrighty. If you are wanting to take part of tonight, you do have to subscribe. Alrighty. So click on it right now. You do have to subscribe. We had to add this feature in there, and I do apologize, but we did have to add this feature in there because we had some bots that were coming in and they were doing it. So we had to change that a little bit. And I do apologize. I know people don't really like that. They don't necessarily want to subscribe. Subscribe and unsubscribe tonight. I don't care. But that's how you're going to go ahead and you're going to have the chance to win this prize on here. And once again, this prize, this giveaway here is going to be this one here. This little, once again, what really bends my antenna, and then Communication Cigars little guy on there. We have what we got, 4 to give away. I'm checking with my Paul Schaefer off to the side here. If anybody gets that reference, you wake up in the morning and bones hurt. But I think we have 5, I don't know how many we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5. 5? Okay, 5. You can't, there is actually someone over here. I haven't lost it. Okay, I'm just letting you know on there. But what we'll do is we'll give people a chance to sign up. And then I want you to go in the chat. And then what I want you to do is I want you to, if you got your name on there, so like Evan's name is on there. I understand Evan's on there. Your call, the other one, call sign KD9WNV, that's there and everything like that. But here's what I want you to do. If you want to be part of the drawing, I want you to just simply type S3. That's it, the letter S and the number 3, S3. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put it into the spinning wheel, okay? So once we add in all this kind of stuff on here in the spinning wheel, we're going to enter all that information as you see on the spinning wheel here, and then we're going to go from there on it. So while people are doing that, so far we got Evan on there. He's got S3 on there, so we'll just type in Evan on there, and then so right now, Evan, your chances of winning are dramatically high tonight right now, but I'm sure more people, or hopefully more people, will go ahead and be able to jump in. But while we're doing that tonight, while we're waiting for people to jump in, alrighty, let's go ahead and talk about what tonight's episode is. And first of all, I want to take a moment to remember September 11th. Okay, September 11th obviously happened. I don't know where people necessarily were on September 11th. I remember waking up. I was working in the two-way radio business that at that time. I remember getting ready to go to work, and then I remember on the news, I actually got into the car, and then what ended up happening was that I was listening to, if anybody's around the Twin Cities, it was KQRS, Tom Bernard in the morning show. I used to like him on there, and I still kind of like him. He has his own podcast now. But anyways, what happened was they were saying, "Oh my God, did a plane fly into the building? What exactly happened? What exactly happened on there?" And then I was listening, and it was just kind of like one of those things where the whole thing was progressing, and working in the communications field, it was kind of weird because, you see this whole thing, and being in public safety, you were like, what's going on? What's going on? That kind of thing. And then, soon after we found out it was an attack. And I'm calling my mom who lives down in Chicago, because she worked downtown Chicago in the tall buildings, and said they're going ahead and they're doing evacuations and everything like that. So it was one of those deals where I was like, what the hell's going on? And, now, then we learned that we were going ahead and being attacked and everything like that on there. But nevertheless, getting back to it, one of the things I think that was interesting after the whole situation was as all this information was coming out, it was interesting the system that was used. And I used to have a video audio clip, and I can't find it when I used to do some of my teachings and classes for public safety communications, and I would have it at the end of the presentation talking about the World Trade Center and the final communication that took place before the towers collapsed. Now, the reason I found that really interesting, I thought this would be kind of an interesting thing to talk about, is because they put their communications into these tall buildings. And they put them into the World Trade Center. They had these things. So when the buildings fell, it knocked out public safety radio systems. It knocked out utilities. So now all this kind of stuff started to break. It started to happen. And now you had no means to communicate. Which then kind of made me go ahead and think of like, man, how do we communicate? What do we have in our radios? And I really started to take a look at that, and I said, man, what is this? No, so like, I'll go ahead and give you an example. I'll pull out old trusty EFJ, right? So my EF Johnson here radio that I started to take a look at it, and it was, for the most part, I was like, we run off a lot of networks, and a lot of newer technology, like trunk radio systems, they're towers. They're inter-network connect towers. Now, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's not bad. In theory, with the networks that are out there, there's the primary system, then there's a backup system, there's a tertiary, and there's even, you could say, a fourth, I don't remember. But anyways, backup systems on there. And a trunk radio system, obviously, it's usually a connected network. Usually, if it's a multi-zone, multi-simulcast, however all the networks are out there, P25, trunking, whatever. A lot of them are interconnected and stuff. And then when that connection breaks, you go to site trunking. But then the question comes into is, how do people go ahead and do the site trunking aspect on there? So it really kind of made me think. And I thought today would be a good day to think about that and discuss kind of the different radio systems that are out there. And we've talked about it before, I know, on some of our Bash shows, but I thought kind of another revamp would be kind of a good and to kind of hit these topics. Now, before I go on, I see there's more people getting in there. I see a few people on there. Once again, if you want to be in the drawing tonight for a giveaway for, it really bends my antenna keychain, sponsored by Communications and Cigars, then you know what we need to do. You need to go ahead and in the chat, if you want to sign up for it, if you haven't signed up for it already, we do have those that have the S3 there. Just put the letter S, the number 3 for season 3 on there, and boom, you'll be good to go. You'll be entered in here. So far, we have 3 people. We have a total of 1, 2, 3. I can't even count. We're 4. Here, you count. My Paul Schaefer. If you get that, once again, I'm old. You get that on there. I think we have 5 to give away. So right now, everybody that's in the spin wheel, you got a really, really good chance of winning. If you don't have a chance, if you can't, like, hey, I can't get into chat, you do have to hit the subscribe on there because we've been having problems with bots on there. So just FYI, we'll talk a little bit more, and then after there, you should be able to go ahead and get it. Anyways, getting back to it. So, we have the basics of basic systems. So there always is that simplex or radio to radio or car to car, that kind of thing. That's always that good channel. And I'm a very big pro believer that when you are in a situation where you need to communicate, be able to know what channel you have at your resource. Do you have that tactical channel? Do you have that radio channel? As a matter of fact, the term TAC, all right, you hear a lot of things, people come up there like TAC. Like, what is TAC? TAC. Well, it stands for Talk Around Channel. And it was a term that was designed to, in essence, way back in the day when your radios ran off of crystals. What would happen is that on some radios, you'd push a button. And what it did is it went along and switched from the transmit crystal and looked to the receive crystal for transmit abilities too. And that's why they called it TAC. And that term has kind of continued to kind of stay around and all that kind of stuff like that on there. But, we call it TAC now. There's private channel. People call it a whole bunch of different things. But there is always that radio to radio channel. And we have that, like, for example, on our ambulance service, very, very key thing to go ahead and be able to do on there. Because what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to say, hey, like, where is this channel available? If I can't hit the main repeater, what is available to me? And then, of course, there is your conventional repeater. Conventional repeater is like what a lot of people else know. You're in on one frequency, you're out on the other frequency. at the same time, 2 different frequencies. Usually goes ahead, and repeaters can be anywhere from 25 to 50 to 100 watts. I've seen 300 watts. I've seen a lot more and stuff like that on there. And then you start to get into more complex systems. Then you start to deal with basically trunking. And trunking, for in sake of a better term, is multiple repeaters that are connected together. And what those multiple repeaters do is that instead of me saying, okay, I need to talk to Jess, let's say, right? And okay, I want to talk to Jess on channel 1 because that's where it's supposed to be. Oh, channel 1 is busy. Okay, now I got to go to channel 2. I try calling. Hey, John to Jess, do you copy on channel 2? All right, no answer. Well, is she on channel 2 or is she still on channel 1? Well, let me try channel 3. And because maybe that's another repeater we can use. Hey, John to Jess on channel 3. No answer. Oh, channel 1 is now open. Because I have it in scan, I'll go back to channel 1. Hey, John to Jess on channel 1, do you copy? Yeah, I copy. Okay, cool. And then we have our conversation. Well, because you don't know what channel people are on, it's scan and this, or maybe whatever the case may be, what trunking does is trunking basically uses the concept of talk groups. And talk groups are, in essence, the group of people that want to talk together, right? So if you have maintenance, if you have security, if you have hotel operations, if you have the street sweepers, if you have whatever, if those are a group of people that want to talk together, what you do then is you tell the radio that I'm going to go to a talk group, where it's a group of people I want to talk to. Now, what it does is instead of the channel selection knob changing repeaters, I'm changing to talk groups. And when I key the radio, what the radio then does is it calls out to the system, and it says, hey, system, you have a bunch of repeaters that are all tied together. So let's say we have 4 repeaters, and all those repeaters are tied together. And then what's going to happen is that I key up on one repeater, and there's different forms of trunking. So let's be a little loose and fluid here. But there's a bunch of different repeaters tied together in a different format. But the radio is going to call to the system saying, hey, can I use repeater 1? Nope, it's busy. Can I use repeater 2? No, that one's busy too. Can I use repeater 3? Yep, that's open. Now my radio is going to shift to repeater 3 frequency. And what's going to happen is everybody else that's on that system, as long as they're on the same talk group as me, their radios are going to hear and saying, oh, you know what? Hey, someone is calling for me on repeater number 3. They all switch over to repeater 3 and hear that traffic. All righty, that's how a trunk system works, the down and dirty version of it. Now, there are multiple different ways that are expanding out there. So going back to that conventional thing, there is what they call multicast. There is simulcast. There is actually remote receive sites. So you can have one transmitter site and a bunch of listen receiving sites around there, right? They look like a normal site, but they sit and then they listen only. And I'll tell you a funny story. Interesting situation happened here. We had a fireman who... Nothing against IT people, but you know what? IT people, you're not radio people, and radio people, you're not IT people. I'm going to tell you that whatsoever. But he's like, this site has never transmitted. Right, because it's a receiver site. Well, why doesn't it transmit? Because it's designed to receive. Well, why? What should be transmitting? No, it's not, because it's a receiver site. Stop transmitting yourself, okay? And start receiving to hear the words. What I used to do is, there was a funny one I used to do. I used to do it to someone, and she used to get really pissed off at me, my wife. And what I would do is, like in an argument, I would go, you know what, this is the resource you're using. Now, this is the resource I need you to use. Try that one time. If you get in an argument with your wife or a coworker or a friend or something like that, or a family member, especially around Thanksgiving, right? Okay, get together and go ahead and saying, if they're talking too much, you're getting boring. Oh, shut up. Go ahead and go, this is the resource, communication resource you're using. This is the communication resource I need you to use. It will be a great Thanksgiving. You can thank me later. And then once you do, remember, hopefully you won one of the giveaway keychains. Okay. For people, I see more and more people are tuning in. If you want to, season 3 episode giveaway here, go ahead and make sure you subscribe to the channel as a user here. And then you can go ahead and just simply enter S3 in the chat right next to your name, and then we'll go ahead and do a drawing. Right now I have Evan, I have Marty, W9EAA, I have Ken, KD9WNV, and I have Brian, K0HO. So those are the people in there right now. As a matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and show you. We're waiting for a few more people. Look at that. Look at what's going on. There's your proof, okay? But we're not ready to do it yet. We're not ready to do it yet. We will in a minute here, okay? But, oh, we got a few other people. I want to say Endolf, just type S3, buddy. Look at what you can get, an official keychain. You could even have it hand-delivered. Anyways, So, and then Dean got you in there. Thank you. Okay. But anyways, getting back to it. So getting back to it though, they're receiver sites. Now that was a very common type of technology, is a conventional repeater with remote receiver sites on there, and a lot of amateur repeaters do it. I've seen some GMRS repeaters do it. DMR technology, some sites have had that do that. They've had a great transmitting site for a commercial site, but then they have a problem trying to get into a building or something like that. And then on there, what ends up happening is that they have to have this receiver site to get out better on there. So, hey, good evening, Chuck on there. Chuck, if you want to enter the drawing, I type S3 on there. But so that was that. Now, when we get into simulcast and multicast, that's a completely weird, different type of technology too, and it's a cool type of technology. What it basically is doing is that you are linking transmitters together. So for a multicast now, what it is in essence, you have multiple tower sites. They transmit at the same time, but they're on different frequencies. That's why it's called multicast, because you're actually having multiple frequencies casting at the same time or transmitting at the same time. Simulcast is completely different, because now simulcast, for the sake of a better term, I'm going to run out of pens here in a moment, but basically what you do is you have 3 sites or 4 sites or 5 sites, I've seen 10 sites even, that you have those sites up there, and what happens is they're all GPS synced and all linked together, and they're timed with a delay. And when I say delay, we're talking microseconds. Like, no, I can't even do it. That's how short a time it is. And what ends up happening is with that simulcast on there, all the towers are transmitting at the same time in order to make your receiving radio think that it's just one tower. And there's a lot more technicality into it and whatever on there. And simulcast has been around for a while. I see, Evan, you said that on there, simulcast on there and what have you. And it is very expensive even today. But now what they have is they also have it kind of also built into it too, where now they have like DMR simulcast, they have a next gen simulcast, they have P25 simulcast. I've done a lot of P25 simulcasting. That's where I've used a lot of it on there. But then now there's even multiple steps now. Now these big sophisticated systems they're trunked simulcast sites. So what they're doing is that they're having like maybe 10, 12, how many ever trunked sites that all have the same frequencies on there, and then when one frequency keys up on one tower, it simulcasts out on those other towers. I mean, it's really, really, really kind of cool and really kind of elaborate systems on there. And guess what? When you go up in the caliber of systems, you go up in this, right? Guess what? A simple simplex channel, whether it's business or whatever, you're probably getting like maybe $100, right? If you have to do a business or public safety or something like that. Amateur, you get it on there. FRS, GMRS, you have that on there. And all you really need is radio, the cost of radio. But now what happens if you do a repeater? Well, you need the repeater cost, duplexer, antenna, all that fun stuff, and then the radios. Well, then as you start to get into this more elaborate systems, now there's more components, there's more things that need to be done. Usually it's got to have microwave because of the timing and everything like that. You can do it with some of the other technologies on there. But anyways, there's a couple things that are listed in there. So like I said, it's just a good retrospective today. I always think this. I don't know why. And I remember the last communication. Take a look on there. I think the audio is still out there, where you hear their last transmission was they were talking on a separate ladder company, and they were using the names of the ladder. So they're like, I don't remember exactly what it was. It would be like, ladder 14 Dave to ladder 14 Oreo, those kind of things like that. That they were using like their first names because they were all part of that engine company, and they had so many people coming. Now what you had to do is you had to come up with tactical call signs. And the best way to do the tactical call sign is identify your unit. But then when you have multiple people tied to that unit, it's not uncommon for them to go ahead and do that. You know what I mean? So like if it was me and, like the example I was calling Jess. If me and Jess, or Jess and I, were on a unit and we have multiple units there and we needed to communicate through a network, I could be like, unit 1 John to unit 1 Jess, go ahead, da-da-da-da-da. And then I might be even more so, like if I knew Ted and Nancy were on unit 2, I might be like, unit 1 John to unit 2 Ted, do you copy? you know, those kind of things. And tactical call signs is a really cool, interesting thing. It is one of the episodes that I think I'm going to talk about on there because there's a couple different ideas and what to do on there and all that. You know, you don't have to be, you know, like, you know, my tactical call sign is Maverick or Night Owl. It could just be Unit 1, you know, whatever the case may be. So, I've had a lot of people that have checked in. We got a lot of concurrent viewers going on here right now. I think we have enough. Do we have enough? I'm checking over here. My Paul Schaefer. All right, once again, if you got the... I used to like David Letterman. Used to, okay? All right? It could be worse. I could be Conan. She could be by Andy. I don't know. Anyways, you want to be... What do you want to be? I'm just getting looks over here right now. Blinking if I'm in trouble. All right, so... Yeah, it's good, right? Okay, Scooby-Doo. Her tactical call sign is now Scooby-Doo, okay? CNC to Scooby-Doo. Are you ready for this? All righty, here we go. Let's go to the big prize wheel. Hey, if I do this right, do you think I can go ahead and be who's the guy? Who's the guy that just quit? Pat Sajak. All right, Pat Sajak. All right, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and I am going to click to spin here. And once again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them to give away. I know it's 5 because that's how many fingers I have in my hand and I went to public school. So here we go. We're going to spin. First winner is going to be... All right, first winner is Brian. Brian, we need to probably take his name now. You got that? Yeah, okay. Brian, congratulations, Brian K0HO. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna kick off our winners in just 1 second here. But because you already won, so we got one set aside for Brian here. I want to go ahead and we're gonna remove him from the list, and we still have 4 more to go. Okay, 4 more to go. All righty. What? Yeah, you can say congratulations. I don't. Oh, add in. Oh, yes. KH6QM. Want to go ahead and we got you there? Okay. Oh, we got last minute people here. Hang on. We got some last minute people here. Go ahead. So we got Dave. Okay, and Temecula. And then you know what? What do we got? Let's add KH6QM. He didn't put S3, but you know what? Everybody loves a freebie on there. Okay, so Brian, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you what to do in a minute. Just hang on. So here we go. We got 2 more in there. Let's go ahead and spin one more time here now. And we're going to go. This one is for, once again, if you haven't joined, just join us. The beautiful, whoop, hang on. Let me go back to the main screen so people could see what they're playing for free. The beautiful, you know what really bends my antenna? And then on the back, it's got the beautiful communications to cigars. Yes. He's old enough, by the way. He's not young. He can smoke. All right. All right, here we go. Next set here, and let's do the spin here. Whoop, got to get up here. And spinning, here we go. And the next winner is Ken, KD9WNV. Congratulations, Ken, for winning. All righty, stay on here, and we're going to go ahead and do 3 more on here. Here we go, number 3. And it's Marty, W9EAA. All righty, congratulations, Marty. Hang on here real quick. We're going to move you, and then we still have 2 more coming up here. Ready? And number 4, technically. What we got here? And we have Chuck, KK6USY. Thank you, Chuck. On there, Chuck has a great channel. If you haven't seen it, Ham Radio Adventures does a lot of cool things. Chuck's taught me a lot about batteries. I'll tell you much about there. Alrighty, and for our final, you know what really bends my antenna keychain? Here we go. And Evan is our final winner. So thank you very much, Evan, on there for doing there. So thank you to everyone that won. Thank you to everyone that did play here. So if you did win here, please go ahead, communications-cigars@jjkcom.com. Once again, communications-cigars@jjkcom.com. com. Send me an email, and then we will go ahead and send these out on there. Also, too, okay, Evan, I see you're on QRZ. That's good, too. But go ahead and do it on there. We will get them shipped out here within this week here and go from there. But, every show, I kind of want, when I did this show, I kind of wanted to have a good theme at the end, kind of bring it together, kind of have some levity on there. We talk a lot about, could be technical and stuff. It could be kind of like drinking from the fire hose. But this next part here is what really kind of spurred this idea. And it is, what really bends my antenna? What really bends my antenna? Lots of things, especially if I sit in my chair wrong when I got the little long antenna. But that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is that what really bends my antenna is that I've kind of taken a look at all the different systems on there. And I'll tell you what, I had a very good discussion with someone today. And his name was Bill. And you know what Bill said to me? And which really was kind of unplanned and unsolicited, especially with today's episode, is he said, you know what? You can build the best system, but you know what's going to come down to? It's going to come down to what works the best for you. Yeah, maybe you want your system to go ahead and be this elaborate system as we talked about earlier, but guess what? You can go ahead and have a system made by Company A, Company B, Company M, and guess what? Company A and B and M may all do the same system, but they're all different manufacturers. And guess what happens at the end? You sometimes could be paying for the name. Yeah, you can have a great system made by a certain company, and guess what happens in return? You're probably going to pay a good price for that system from the certain companies. The ideology of that, hey, I need to have a name associated with a certain piece of radio equipment for it to be the greatest and the best, is very old and conventional thinking. I'll even go so far as to even say that it's dumb thinking. I can be perfectly honest with you and tell you that... well, look at that. See, I must be right. I can even go ahead and tell you, though, that on many situations and in many instances, back in the day, there used to be a few radio companies. There used to be this one and all those kind of things like that. What I've started to find out over the ages is that really, for the most part, there are going to be different models and makes. It's kind of like people going in and saying, well, we all have a car. Well, yeah, we do. But there's different cars out there. There's Dodge and Chevy and Ford and Toyota and Honda and Hyundai and all those other ones like that. Are they all cars? Yes. Do they all have certain things that make them better than one another? Yes. Can you really go ahead and really shave out and shell out money for a good, expensive car? Yeah. I guarantee you that a Lamborghini Countach is going to be more expensive than my Dodge Challenger. But my Dodge Challenger is probably going to be maybe a little bit more expensive than that Toyota Prius, let's say, for an example. Point of the matter, though, is that each radio system, all the radio technology out there, really comes down to performance. It really does. And I go ahead and I say this kind of thing on there because I have issues with some radios. And the reason I have issues with some radios is because of poor quality. That's really my beef with some radios, is poor quality. I can guarantee you that there are going to be times and situations where the infrastructure you are using, you may not be able to tell if it's just a simple repeater that has two mobiles strapped together but done very well versus a $3,000, $4,000 repeater which does the same darn thing. But what it's going to come down to is it's going to come down to features and performance. Don't let that fool you. And the reason I say it that way is because there's going to be times where you will go ahead and have, guess what? Item number A and item number B. And item number A and item number B are both pens in this case, right? One happens to be a ballpoint pen, and one happens to be somewhat of a ballpoint pen, but it's more or less a gel ballpoint pen than an ink ballpoint pen. Will both of these pens write? Yeah. Will both of these pens be in black colored ink? Yeah. Do both have nice little grip here and a grip here for it? Yeah. But are there going to be little subtle characteristics that are different? Yes. Now, is there a difference between the pen concept on here as I'm using? Yeah. If this one busted on me and was poor quality, then yeah, I'm not going to want it. But realistically, if this does the same job as this one, and I'm not really losing or gaining anything by going between the two of them, does it really make a difference? No, it really doesn't make a difference. But once again, if I'm using one that goes ahead and let's say it splatters the ink all over the page, I maybe don't want this one. I maybe want to go with this one. That's what I'm getting at when I talk about the different types of communication systems out there. And don't let, as a final thought, don't let bean counters go ahead and drive and dictate things. That really is a hard thing to do. Okay? What I mean by that is that sometimes people will say, no, you shouldn't be going with the system because it's not a brand name, because it's not a certain name that begins with M or a certain name that begins with a K or a T or an K, whatever. There's a whole bunch of different things that I can go through. And if you are part of radio technology, if you are part of different things like that, you're going to hear this comes up over and over and over again. The biggest thing and the most important thing you can do is have a level-headed when you're dealing with communications and selection of your equipment. Taking the time to saying, what do I need or what do I want as part of it? So that's what really bends my antenna today. And there's going to be our 5 winners here who are going to be going ahead and getting their, you know, it really bends my antenna there. So thank you for everybody tuning into season 3, the start of season 3 on there. If you turned in the beginning, you kind of saw it different. If you didn't, stay through the end here because we got even a new intro and outro that we're doing from the other seasons on there. I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. We do have a couple of different things that, like I said, we got some shows planned up. We do have coming. We're going to be doing, I did a little short real quick on the actual tuning a duplexer, kind of what duplexers are. I've had a lot of people that responded back and said, man, hey, this is really good. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Talk maybe a little bit more about filtering, talk a little bit about some other things. So we do have some great ideas. I am going to try to get some guests on here. I got kind of a cool idea that I'm working, but I really want to try to get a few people on here and kind of go from there. So until then, I want to say 73, take care, stay healthy, stay wealthy, stay wise. If you're in public safety, thank you very much, like me, for continuing to do your job. This is a day of remembrance for a lot of people on there. Tragedy did happen, but we grow from our pain to help go ahead and ease the pain of others in the future there. And with that, guess what? I think that's my sign. I got to go. So we didn't talk about cigars, but if you do have a cigar, it's a great fall time of the season up here. Take back, sit back, relax, enjoy if you got it. Going to be great. I'll turn that down there from everybody. It's going to be a great kind of year. It might be a little cool, so good time to start playing with some radio projects. Until then, take care, everybody, and we'll see ya in a week.